Family wealth and reality. I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.media. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, right? Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because according to Stats Canada, it's just not true. We've got yet another study from the bureaucrats, the left-wing bureaucrats of Ottawa, showing that all boats are in fact rising. Are they all rising at the same level? No, but they are all rising. Now, we don't get this story from our class warfare-driven mainstream media. Instead, we get sympathetic coverage of Justin Trudeau's calls for fairness, his socialism light, his attempts to tax the rich and give to the poor. Now, I've been documenting study after study from Stats Canada for the last few years showing wages are up, household wealth is up, and it's up in every category, every income bracket. Now, this new study released Wednesday proves that point again, but the media party, for the most part, well, they stick to their income inequality guns. Look at this global headline. I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable when you see what the study actually says. Global's headline, wealth gap widens in Canada as riches see faster rise in net worth. And then the story goes on from there. The findings underscore the widening economic inequality witnessed in North America and in other developed nations in recent decades as globalization and other factors profoundly alter labor markets and income division within established economies. Huffington Post took a similar view in how they approached the story. Check out their headline on this. Canada's wealth gap has spiked since start of century. Stats Can. We'll get to what they actually said in a minute, but here's how Huffington Post went on to phrase it in their story. Wealth inequality widened in Canada between 1999 and 2012, according to new data from Stats Canada. Although all income groups saw at least some increase in wealth, the bottom 60% of households saw their overall share of the country's wealth decline, and the wealth gap between the top 20% and the bottom 20% nearly doubled in that time. Again, not what the study says. So let's look at what Stats Canada actually found. I'm going to read from their press release. Between 1999 and 2012, the average wealth or net worth of Canadian families rose from $319,800 to $554,100, or 73% in constant 2012 dollars. Average income was higher among those with higher incomes. Now, let me break that down. Adjusting for inflation using 2012 figures, the average family saw their net worth go up by 73%. That's fantastic news. We should be celebrating, right? No. Not to the left. Let me give you some more numbers. Among the 20% of family units with the highest incomes, or the top income quintile families, average wealth increased by 80%. Between 1999 and 2012, that went from $721,000 to $1.3 million. All right, people at the top did a little bit better than average, 80% instead of 73%. Not a huge difference, right? How'd the middle do? Well, they actually hit the average. Over the same period, the 20% of families that were in the middle of income distribution, also called the middle income quintile families, increased their average wealth by 73% from $261,000 to $453,000. But then comes the part that lets the leftists in the media say income inequality is a huge problem. While the bottom 20% got richer between 1999 and 2012, they didn't grow at the same level as families at the top. Quote, at the other end of the income spectrum, the 20% of families with the lowest incomes, or the bottom income quintile families, increased their average wealth by 38% from $79,000 to $109,000. This is what the lefties are complaining about. The wealth of the bottom 20% only grew by 38%. Remember, this is adjusted for inflation. This is not a case of their wealth growing by 38% and then inflation eating away at it. This is in real, constant 2012 dollars. If I told you the bottom 20% of Canadians, which includes students, seniors, people with few job skills, well, they had an average worth of $109,300, wouldn't you be shocked? I know I am. According to Stats Canada, families at the very bottom are those headed up by a single parent, those that recently immigrated, those headed up by a major breadwinner between the ages of 18 and 34, meaning they're just starting out, and those that had a high school diploma or less. Thankfully, as other government studies have shown, there is income mobility in Canada. And just because you're at the bottom now doesn't mean you'll stay there. You can work hard and move up. I know, I've done it. Countless others have as well. Unfortunately, some like Trudeau want to penalize hard work by raising taxes, expanding social programs. He says it's about fairness. When the average family sees their wealth increase by 73% between 1999 and 2012, and the top 20% are only a little bit further ahead, and all boats are actually rising, I say we've got a pretty fair system, one that we don't want to ruin with Trudeau's socialist policies.